Hello guys and welcome back again to the channel. This is a special request from my pro member. He has asked me to make a video about my top 5 acoustic audio plugins and how I use them. So this video, obviously I'll show you guys the top 5 that I use, and I'll also throw in bonus 3 plugins that I also still use occasionally, and I'll tell you guys why obviously those ones are being used occasionally now. This will be in no particular order, but to be fair, I think El-Rey is actually the one that I use most these days, among the top 5. But this will be top 5 in no particular order. So first one obviously being El-Rey, as you can see. And this plugin, I just like how creamy it is. I tend to use it more on vocals. So you can see on this particular vocal, I've got it here. I also use it occasionally on pianos and strings, especially strings. Basically, if you want something to sound mellow, and with this plugin, I'm actually just trying to get the saturation, not necessarily to compress the sound. So I don't even like this needle to go up to 1 on this gain reduction meter. So let's have a listen to this vocal so you can see how much movement this is going.
You're not in my reality, and baby, it's not good for me. So I close my eyes, I take a breath, and imagine it's just you and me.
So as you can see, this is actually not touching that one. Sometimes I actually set the threshold in a way that it's not moving at all, just to get the saturation, because this is obviously emulating the saturations, and this is obviously a tube compressor, so it has got a lot of valves, as you can see on the images. So that warmth is what I'm using this to gain. So the next one that I was using so much at some point, but now not as much as, is the Magic Flow by Josh Goodwin. This is Josh Goodwin Magic Flow. So this plugin is actually a utility plugin in the sense that you have so many things. So that's why they still creep into my mixing, because I cannot say I'm using it for this particular thing. Basically, you've got a filter, obviously low cut and high cut. And you've also got a peak level in here, which is a compressor you can use. And then there's a dynamic EQ here, which you can use. There's 4 different modes: A, B, C, and D. And then you've got this dynamic resonance controller. So I used to use this dynamic resonance controller a lot, but now that I've acquired Suit 2, I sort of, resort to Suit 2 because it gets the job done quicker. But, if I'm trying to hone in on a particular frequency range, I will still reach out for this one. Then you've also got obviously this dynamic balance here, which is another compressor. Then you have this EQs, you have 4 different EQ style. So that's why this plugin is still creeping, like I said, because there's so many things in one. So if I'm not using this, I'm using the other one. And another thing that I actually use this plugin for mostly is, this insert, because they've modeled the DW Fern owned by Josh Goodwin, which is a hardware. So the sound is being modeled here. That's why you see this insert on. So most times I actually turn off every other module and just use that. You can see also preamp here, which you can engage or bypass. But this insert, I also use it. So let's just listen to the vocal. You might hear it a bit, but it's very subtle, but I quite like what it does. So let me solo the vocal because I've got it currently on vocal. I use this one more on vocal because I feel like this is a vocal plugin, even though you can still use it on anything.
My reality, and baby, it's not good for me. So I close my eyes, I take a breath, and imagine it's just you and me. And I go crazy without my baby. I'll fake it, it's the only way I make it.
So I really like what this insert does. Let me try to turn it off. Obviously there's a preamp here as well.
Yeah, I've been living in a fantasy with you and me. I've been dreaming of a place where we.
So if you like, it tightens, the low mid and make it a lot cleaner. And there's a wet button here, obviously, if you don't want it to be 100%. So this is why this plugin still creep into my mixing, because it has got an array of different tools that you don't necessarily have to use all of it. You can just use one, or should I say few, of the suite that's on this plugin. So the third one is Frost. And for Frost, I use it mainly on drums, occasionally on vocal as well. So if we head to the drums, this is my drums. I've got Frost here. So as you can see, this plugin obviously has got different stuffs as well. You've got your EQ, you've got dynamic there, you've got your compressor here. I think I've engaged a bit of the high pass at 30 Hertz. The low pass is off. There's a bit of a bump at 3K by nearly 2 dB. 3K. I've also added a bit of 1.4K by 3 dB. There's also a little bit of 200 or 220 Hertz by 3 dB. Then let's have a listen to the drum with and without. If you listen closely, especially on the clap, you notice how brighter it is, but not, free or shrill, or should I say overbearing, because this plugin is really, good. So the next one that I'm actually, using a bit more, even though the plugin just came out, is Salt. Why? Like I said, this plugin also still come through my mixing is the fact that it has got, 3 classic EQs in one. So let's quickly go to where I got it. So this is guitar. As you can see, Salt. Currently I'm using Pink, which is an API emulation. But with this, you can also have the Gold, which is Neve, or Sand, which is SSL. So if you notice, the plugins that mostly make it into my mixing is one that are very versatile, because I've got quite a lot of plugins from other makers. So obviously, if a plugin will come in, it's something that will give me what I don't already have. Let's listen to that guitar. You notice that, with nearly 14 dB of boost, the guitar was still sounding very musical, not sounding harsh to the ears. That's, the kind of quality you get with most acoustic audio plugins. You can also engage the preamp here if you want, whichever preamp you want. If you want to say engage Sand, which is SSL preamp, even though you're using Pink, you can still do that. There's oversampling here. Obviously, there's mode, EQ types. So you can go for 0, which is hyper equalizer. This is eco mode. If you are struggling with your system, there's digital and digital times 2. So the last one I got on my top 5 acoustic audio plugin that I use often, or should I say frequently, is Cherry. This Cherry is obviously sort of a mastering EQ, or should I say mix bus EQ. But before then, I actually used to use a lot of Celestial, which is one of the bonus one that I'll throw in. But because I've now acquired a hardware SSL Fusion, which is what that Celestial is emulating, so I now tend to sort of go for the hardware mostly. But if we go to the mix bus, so this is Cherry. So with this, I tend not to do much, just a little bit of air is what I usually add. Sometimes I might notch up a bit of the sort of low mid, like 270, there is 0.3 minus 0.3 notch, but it's just 1 dB at 10K to add a bit of air to the mix, because this also adds some, nice, clean, open and airy sound to your source. Let's have a listen to it.
My baby, dream away the loneliness, I'll fake it. It's the only way I make it. I've been living in a fantasy with you and me. I've been dreaming of a place where we set free. Ooh, I've been thinking about it all the time, 'cause you linger in my mind. I'm imagining a fantasy reality. Yeah, yeah.
So you notice once I engage this, it sort of opens up this mix in a nice way. So that is the power of Cherry. The bonus 3 that I said is obviously one of them being Celestial, which I mentioned. This is an emulation of SSL Fusion. So I've now got a hardware SSL Fusion, so I tend to use that more. But I still reach out for this now and again if I want, a bit of SSL Fusion type of vibe on a mix that I know that I've not got much time to go through my hardware, to run the hardware SSL Fusion. So this is one of the bonus one. So the second one on the bonus plugin is Diamond Saturator by Luca Pritolosi. This is an emulation of the Black Box HG2, I believe. And even though there's been more of features added to this one, so I tend to also reach out for this when I want, a bit more instead of the straightforward Black Box HG2, which gives you even an odd harmonics and saturation. So if I want to do a bit more, I reach out for this, which is saturation 1 and saturation 2. You've obviously got linear phase, which you can engage. There's a crossover there. So this one gives you a bit more than what that gave you. So when I want obviously a bit more, I reach out for this, but not always. So the last one on the list is Tiger, which is actually a dual stage compressor. So this is Tiger. As you can see, you've got basically 2 compressors in one. You can have one as fast and one as slow. So I hope this is helpful, guys. Don't hesitate to leave me a comment if you have any question, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up so that the algorithm will send it to more people. Until next time, thanks for watching